Now is the time to become educated God's way in regard to disease, its causes, prevention, and cure in just 8 simple steps.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Join us for a new start every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. on WOKB 1680 for 8 Steps to Health. Brought to you by Saved to Serve Ministries.
Good morning, Orlando, and welcome to 8 Steps to Health, brought to you by Saved to Serve Ministries. I'm your host, Dwayne Powell.
And your co-host, Hope Powell.
And we're very excited to be here today. And today, as usual, we're joined in the studios with some of our team members from Saved to Serve Ministries. They're health missionaries who travel around the country teaching health principles from the Bible. So welcome, Jerby, Jared, and Richard.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Greetings, everyone.
Here on the 8 Steps of Health, every week from God's Word, which is our health manual, we share these 8 laws of health. And we break it down in the acronym of New Start. So please tell our listeners, what is New Start?
N stands for nutrition, and E stands for exercise.
And W stands for water, S for sunlight, T for temperance.
A for air, R for rest, and the last T, trust in God.
And now that we know what New Start is, let's sing the New Start theme song.
Nutrition,
Exercise,
water, sunlight, temperance, air and rest, trust in God. Nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air and rest, trust in God, trust in God, trust in God.
That's right. Trust in God is the foundation of these health principles and the #1 prevention for stress. So if you missed any of our previous broadcasts, please visit our website at 8stepstohealth.com. That's the number 8 steps, the number 2 health.com.
For those of you joining us for the first time, the theme for our show is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And our objective every week is to become intelligent in regard to disease, its causes, prevention, and cure.
And today we will be discussing a topic. Why this topic? Because as we were doing our research, we came across an article on CBS News entitled, listen to this, Snapchat Dysmorphia. Selfies, photo filters, driving people to plastic surgery. This is what doctors are saying. The phenomenon dubbed Snapchat dysmorphia has people requesting fuller lips, bigger eyes, a thinner nose in order to look like the filter or photo edited versions of themselves from these pictures.
Wow, that sounds surreal.
Yeah.
So basically, people are on their Snapchat. They have it on Facebook as well, Instagram, and they use these filters. And now they like that, their chin is smaller, their cheeks are a little bigger.
Their eyes are made bigger, too, because I've seen that. Because I have used Snapchat in the past, and I did see the effect that it did.
But don't they look like cartoons when the eyes...
Yeah.
Not all the time. Strangely enough, not all the time. They actually have some where they actually put makeup on you. They have one with this Hawaiian thing where they put a flower at the side, put freckles on you, make your eyelashes longer, things like that.
That's a big one. I don't have Snapchat.
And people believe in this so much that now they literally want to get their bodies altered in order to look this way permanently.
Wow. And this is an alarming trend because those filters or selfies are often unattainable.
Right.
And, it's blurring the lines between reality. And some people are just obsessed with what they look like on social media. And, just obsessed. There's nothing wrong with looking good. But some of the things as far as going is plastic surgery, that's another thing.
When it becomes an addiction.
Exactly.
It becomes an addiction.
That's a waste of money.
And nowadays, you have your camera phones and, cameras easily accessible.
Right.
People are taking selfies, and they are just obsessed with selfies. And we have a clip that we're going to play from CBS News.
Yes.
And we're going to, when you hear this, you're going to be like, wow, this is an obsession. Could you roll that clip?
How many selfies do you take a day, honestly? Honestly, I'm not ashamed. I take about between 150 and 200 a day.
Sisters Taylor and Tia Smith and their friend Takia Travis say they snap hundreds of selfies a day.
I would have to say at least like 700.
You take 700 selfies a day?
I have to make sure I get the right angle.
Sometimes, everything doesn't translate well on camera, but then to turn around and see like, oh my God, my teeth look great, my eyebrows match, this is great.
A recent study in the International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction suggests compulsive selfie taking can lead to selfitis.
A selfie addiction is when a person is almost obsessively taking selfies multiple times a day and then often going ahead and posting that to whatever it might be, Snapchat or Facebook, Instagram.
Psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula says if more than 50% of your photos are selfies and you're using filters frequently, those are red flags.
More and more studies are showing this. More time spent on social media sites negatively affects people's self-esteem. That can make a person less able to cope, more likely to have anxiety, depression, that sort of thing.
She says to help avoid selfitis, put your phone down and create selfie-free zones.
I want to make sure I get that picture, and sometimes it takes 200 times. So we just got to make sure it's right.
Taylor says she's not obsessed, she's just a selfie connoisseur. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
That's crazy.
She said she's not obsessed. She's a connoisseur.
700 pictures sounds like obsession to me.
It's funny because they're sisters. So both of them, it's two sisters and a friend, and all of them, they were traveling and just taking a whole bunch of pictures. Now, a funny thing that I was thinking about is that she must have that 256 gigabyte iPhone, so where she can have all of that storage space for all those pictures.
Wow. Who has that kind of time to sit and snap 700 pictures? And we're going to get into more of why we say who has that kind of time, because that time can definitely be spent elsewhere. And there was something else the doctor said. She said it was self-itis. And those in the medical field, or maybe some people who aren't, know that the suffix of itis, I-T-I-S, means inflammation. So people are being inflamed with themselves. They're that obsessed that they have to term a new
term
called self-itis. But when we were speaking, Jerby said it's just like
narcissism. It's a funny thing, because I do remember learning a while back in college, my professor was actually teaching us how narcissism is no longer required as a disorder, a mental disorder anymore, because it's so prevalent. And that's one thing that really caught my attention. I was like, what? And then to hear the term self-itis, that term does make sense, but at the end of the day, there's already a word for it, and it's called narcissism.
So because many people are now acting this way, it's not a health issue anymore. It's normal.
It's sad to say.
But the thing that's sad is, many people, they use these filters and they want to be not only like the filter, but also what they see on TV with the celebrities and the reality TV show stars. And the sad thing is, when you look at their lives, the reality TV show stars, they're not happy either.
No.
I mean, recently we heard in the news, Demi Lovato, she went to the hospital because she allegedly had an overdose. So they're not happy either. Yet, to, as it were, us normal people who don't have all the money and so on, we want their life, but they don't even like their life.
Right. It's a pressure, and to be in the spotlight, some type of pressure that they're feeling, whether they have the money or not. And they have the money for the plastic surgery, and they actually get the plastic surgeries done, but it is the pressure that they're living with. And just like Jared said, either you're a drug addiction, and we've seen where a lot of them have committed suicide in the past.
Yeah, the drug addicts.
But just going forward, look at a few of these stats here again from CBS. They went on to say that there is a plastic surgery survey by the American Academy of Facial, Plastic, and Reconstructive Surgery, which says, listen to this, 55% of surgeons now in 2017 reported seeing patients who mentioned selfie now as a reason for plastic surgery. That's powerful.
55%?
55% of their patients request plastic surgery based on the fact that I want to change, I want to look like my selfie. Wow. This is compared to 42%, which was back in 2015. I mean, we're in 2018 now, so of course we see an increase in that.
Right. That's
right?
true.
So they're going to the doctor as a plastic surgeon and saying, listen, doc, I just took a selfie. I love the angle, the facial recognition. You know what I mean? I want to look like this.
All the time. And another thing is that more than 5 million to about 7.5 million people in the U.S. alone have BDD. And BDD is known as body dysmorphic disorder. And it's actually more common than disorders such as anorexia and schizophrenia.
Okay, so because a lot of people may not have heard this before, what is BDD? It is a mental health condition like narcissism, in which people are preoccupied with a non-existent or a minor flaw in their physical appearance. So it's no longer, oh my gosh, I have a pimple. And CBS News went on to say the pervasiveness of these filtered images can take a toll on one's self-esteem. It can make people feel inadequate. They're not looking a certain way in the real world. But if you're doing a Snapchat filter, that's not the real world.
Not at all. It's reality.
And they say it may even act as a trigger later to develop this BDD. And again, BDD is body dysmorphic disorder.
Yes, and at first when we came across the article, we wasn't sure whether BDD was an actual disorder. But if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. It's totally true. If you look at all of these social media platforms, such as Instagram, Facebook, and so many of them, the focal point is self-image, self-absorption, and narcissism. Almost everyone you know is addicted to it, and people are drawn into these social media platforms. You know, they have it on your phone, your iPad, your watch, whatever it is, and they're drawn into it. And it's just to not all the time. Not saying social media in itself is bad. We're not saying that. In the wrong use of it, it can be bad. And then you look to the celebrities, like Jared spoke about earlier, and you want their life. And a lot of times they're getting these plastic surgeries to make themselves look better. You know, they're not doing it following the 8 laws of health. No. You know, not at all. They're drinking the water, the nutrition, the exercise, the water, you know, the sunlight. They're not getting all of that.
They're not trusting.
They're not trusting in God, because God made them, you know, perfect when, you know, you were made. And then now one of the big things that people are now getting is butt implants or butt shots.
Breast implants.
Yeah,
that's a big thing, big trend.
Yeah.
And we have another audio clip we want to play from a celebrity who actually got this implant, and you know, she became sick. So
that's what's K. Michelle.
K. Michelle.
K. Michelle. She's a very big you know, artist there, and many people know her music.
She featured on the Steve Harvey show talking about it too.
Exactly. So we want to play this audio clip from that.
Right.
Recently, you had your butt implants removed.
I had some silicone in me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
So how you feeling, and why'd you decide to remove them? What's
it was making me sick. Like, it just hit me like the last year and a half, and I'm like tired. They tested me for everything. It's like, okay, she got lupus. Then 2 weeks later, it's like, it's not lupus. Then I can't walk. I've been on bed rest, everything. So for me, you know, it was vanity. You know, I went and did like the butt shots, like everybody was doing, a lot of your favorite artists. We went to the same person, and they sick too. But I just talk about mine. I don't lie to y'all. I don't tell y'all, oh, this is great. It'll catch up. It'll catch up. So I said, you know what? If I can show them my body and what I did, I can also show them the outcome and the consequences of it. So I've been very open with it. Like this upcoming Monday, I have a surgery. They're cutting out tissue out of my body so that my body will stop reacting to trying to push it out. So this will be my second one, but I've learned my lesson.
Hold on, wait, let me ask you something.
I've learned it.
So these butt implants are like big now. I mean, I'm talking not, I don't mean it like that. Big, popular. It's very popular.
But let me tell you this.
What?
So trends come and go, and you don't do the trends on your body.
Don't do trends on your body.
No.
Wow.
They have to get it out.
That's fascinating.
And as she said, you don't do trends on your body. There may be people listening saying, okay, well, taking selfies is in my body, but it's leading people to surgery on their bodies, but it's also affecting your mental state.
Right.
If you're doing so many selfies, looking at these celebrities, and K. Michelle just said, all of your favorite celebrities, they all go to the same doctors. They're doing these surgeries. And to the young women and older women period, who are listening, and to the men who get these articles with these women because they look so, I guess what they call voluptuous.
Yeah.
It's not real. You know, in reality, these women are sick. It is not real.
And you're getting it from the horse's mouth yourself. This is one of the celebrities saying, you know, I'm speaking up about this issue.
And she was sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Still, and they told her she had lupus 1 week. A couple of weeks later, she don't. So can some of these diseases that they say they have no idea where they come from, can they be linked? You know,
definitely.
to these implants?
And what's sad is, you know, I'm sure everyone listening on the radio right now, you have a family member, or maybe you yourself you take a lot of selfies, you know, and it's probably playing on your subconscious and you don't know it. I have an aunt who posts, you know, every single day WhatsApp, the story, Facebook story, you know, posting pictures on Facebook, and when they do, it's like 78 photos at one time. I mean, it's just an obsession, and a lot of people have this today.
That's true. You know, I've many family members as well, you know, in my family that, you know, take selfies every day or every other day. You see something new, a different filter on them, you know. And I remember back when Snapchat had that big thing coming out with the recognition now, where they said that your face was being recognized by the filters.
Right.
And, you know, that was a big uproar. But now it seems as if that has been put on the back burner, and now it's become so prevalent now with these selfies that issue is not an issue anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm
having fun. And this is what these companies are initially doing, you know.
So don't get us wrong. We're not saying that there's anything wrong with technology or taking a picture occasionally. You might be having a special occasion. You might be on a field trip.
Might be your birthday.
Might be it's your family. And there has been much good due to technology. A lot of good. However, technology is becoming very absorbing of our time as a society, as husband and wives, as family. And it does shape the way we think about ourselves. And however we think about ourselves is going to reflect with other people, our families, in the church, at work. So much of this article is saying that people want to change their bodies to be like Snapchat filters, even the celebrities or your friends, because they want to better themselves. But we are very soon about to get into, what does the Bible say? Where did this come from? Because it's not just something that happens. It's not just a trend. It has been created and started long ago. So we're almost to that section.
Right. But real quick, you know, the selfie, the rise of the selfie has also caused us to be more absorbed with ourselves. And now we're choosing our phones over spending quality time with family, you know, at the dinner table, or sometimes even I'm guilty of that. We've all went out to dinner together, and we've all done that. So we have to be very mindful of that.
I mean, one thing that myself and my wife do these days is, you know, we tell each other, like, when we get around the dinner table, no phones around the dinner table. That's one of the rules of our household, you know, because, again, we were caught up in that as well. We're no better than anyone else, but we're showing that you have to make these steps, the conscious steps to, you know, get over that, to really put yourself in a position saying, you know, I'm not going to be addicted to these things. I can use them any other time, but when I get to my family or spending time with God, I'm going to put those things aside for a moment, you know,
and
at least.
And that's good that you and your wife saw that. People have to see their need, because you can tell people, be careful, you're always on your phone, and they can say, oh no, it's not an issue, you know, or say, oh, you're doing it.
I'm handling business.
But that's very good. I'm going to make sure I do that even more. So the question we have to ask is, what is the underlying issue with the obsession of taking selfies, and where are we going to get the answer?
Right to our Bibles, to our health manual. And Dwayne mentioned a little bit portion of it when he mentioned vain. You know, it causes us to be vain, it's vanity. And we see this in the account of King Solomon, right back there in the book of Ecclesiastes. And we know that besides Christ, Jesus Christ, Solomon was the wisest man that lived in his time, right? God granted him the wisdom and knowledge and understanding that he needed to lead Israel. And we know that in the account of Solomon, by and by, he strayed away from God because of vain deceit, because of vanity, right? And as Solomon looked back on his life, all that he had accomplished, he did good and bad, everything under the sun. He says in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 14, he says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun. Everything that could be done in this earth, I have done it. I have seen it. And he says now, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. The wisest man, aside from Christ, this is what he said. So at the end of his life, he understood that everything was vanity, and there was no pleasure in it without Christ.
Amen.
And that word vanity just means emptiness, void. There's no pleasure in it.
But the world makes vanity like it's beautiful.
Beautiful,
right? They
dazzling.
Have, the Vanity Affair or the vanity chest you have in your room to look at yourself. So they make it something positive when it's negative.
That's true. And another point is that it leads us to never being satisfied with the way that God made us. And it almost seems as if God made a mistake. Right. So we're saying, oh, well, this part of my body is not big enough, and this part is too small, and this part is like just weird. So let me go get this fixed. Right. And we're telling God, well, you made a mistake, so I'm going to go to another person that you created so that they can make me the way that I want to be instead. And that's the sad thing. And it actually reminds me of a Bible verse that's found in Psalm 139, verse 14, which says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. It's funny because the main thing that I'm trying to point out here in this verse is that it says, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made, meaning that we should be grateful at the way that God created us. Take pleasure in the way that God created you. Not saying to be full of vanity because you're always looking up at yourself, but just be grateful for the way that God created you and to the fact that he even cared to make you in the first place. Amen. That's one thing that always gets me, like, why do you need me? Why do you need my love? What am I to you? But at the end of the day, he created you because he wants your heart.
And in Genesis 1, it says we're made in the image of God.
In the image of God.
Very image.
And what Jerby is saying is so true. We start to worship the created more than we worship the creator. And that's what starts to happen. And that's why we have to go back to the Bible to get victory over these things. Again, some people may be listening like, oh my gosh, they're making a big deal. It is a big deal because when our eyes become on self and is taken away from Jesus Christ, who died for our sins, we're supposed to be living for him and not for ourselves.
Now, everything that happens in the world, we can point it back to the Bible. So this whole selfie phenomena that's happening now comes from Lucifer, or Satan himself. Ezekiel 28 verse 15 and 17 says, thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till or until iniquity was found in thee. Verse 17, thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. And then it continues. So what we see here, Lucifer looked at himself. He stopped looking at Christ and said, look, I am so beautiful. And because of that, he was prideful and he fell. He was cast out of heaven.
But who made him?
It was God.
It was God.
Perfect. And I mean, if you read the description, you see how he was made, covered in, topazes, precious stones. And you look at that and you're like, wow, I am, for him, he looked at it and it became a vanity that led to his destruction. And sometimes that will happen to us. We may look at ourselves and like, wow, this outfit looks great. Or this shirt or whatever, this filter, and next thing you know, you're self-absorbed with yourself,
and you start acting a certain way, and you start speaking a certain way, and we start carrying ourselves a certain way.
And sometimes even now you want to live this lifestyle that you can't afford, and now you're broke.
That's true. So what can we do? What can we share with our listeners? What can we do personally to remedy this issue of self-absorption and uncontentment due to social media, due to our lack of spending time with Christ? What do we do?
Hope we can definitely first step is that we need to be redirecting a self-promotion, self-love to the promotion of Jesus Christ. That's the first step, is realizing that it's not about us. It's about Jesus. It's about giving glory back to him because we're made in his image, right? John 3 verse 30 tells us what that step is. It says, he, speaking of Jesus, must increase. And it goes on to say that, but I must decrease. So it's showing us here the step that Jesus Christ must be in the forefront and we must be hid behind the cross of Calvary, right? So we can use our social media platforms, to share the gospel. That's what I started doing a little while back, You know, I never used to do that, but I use that now. Social media, websites, Instagram, Facebook, everything to share the gospel.
Yeah, it's powerful. That's a powerful platform to share the gospel. I mean, you have, like, say, hundreds of friends, and you share just one Bible verse a day or whatever, you know, and that right there can help somebody in so many ways.
That's true, because you might be the only Bible they've ever read.
That's right.
And you don't know who's watching it. And instead of becoming envious of what other people have on social media, instead our eyes should be turned upon Christ.
Amen.
And, you know, I don't know if people still sing songs like this anymore, but I love this song. It's called Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. We want to sing that for you today.
Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace.
Amen. Turn your eyes back to Jesus, and the things of this world will grow strangely dim. You may not understand, like, wow, I'm not the same person I used to be. That's the point. So let's get back to the Bible and less of ourselves.
Amen.
And remember, our theme here on 8 Steps to Health is always an ounce of prevention is definitely worth a pound of cure.
Right.
So don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website, 8stepstohealth.com.
Yeah. Website 8stepstohealth.com. You'll find videos, a lot of the content. If you missed any of our broadcasts, you can go back there, rewatch them. So we thank you, Orlando, for joining us today. We want to also invite you to join us next week. God bless, and we hope that this has been a blessing to you as it has been to us.
Amen.
Amen.
See you next week.
Take care.
Bye.